Welcome to Double D-fense. I'm Liz.
And I'm Christine.
We're bringing you an all-female perspective on the NHL,
plus the PWHL, college hockey, and everything in between. Thank you for joining us.
It's a double day train. We'll ecstasy, talking hockey like it's 1994. Gonna win, I mean red tears. They live in the decades-long drought. Podcast blazing loud, hockey all.
And we are back with another Monday preview. Guys, we have Liz and Christine back with us from Double D-fense to talk all things New York Rangers. Guys, thanks so much for coming back.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for this soon-to-be therapy session about our hockey team because we need it.
I mean, I think
we'll go through those periods of time.
I think when we talked last time, we had a differential between where your team was and where our team was, and yeah, I think we're a lot closer this time, so we can relate, we can empathize together.
Yeah, things happen. First and foremost, we got to talk about, because I feel like the Rangers had a lot more drama, or at least was more of a topic of conversation prior to even the start of the season with, getting JT Miller, him being named captain. And we got the whole no BS stuff at the beginning of the year. What were your guys' thoughts? What are your feelings on the captain, on the BS, on just all of that?
I'll jump in here because I think I think Christine and I had some differing opinions. I was and I think Christine was too, actually very anti the Chris Kreider trade. We are big Kreider fans here on Double D-fense, and losing him I thought was awful. I mean, there was a lot of drama kind of surrounding it, and obviously I think it was great. I mean, it was great for him. It's worked out so well for him and the Ducks this year that he's now not part of the team. But to me, he was such a quintessential captain leader. So when he was traded, and then the conversation went to who should be the next captain. To me, Trocheck was like the obvious choice, and they didn't go that direction. They had JT Miller, who was coming out of Vancouver. There were issues surrounding him leaving anyway. I don't know. It felt like an incongruous decision to me, and I feel like it has not worked out. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah,
Christine, what are your thoughts?
Well, we were hopeful when we started, right? I think we still are, kind of, sort of.
Optimist.
Yeah, I mean, we're really hopeful on the road. We got to figure out what's going on at home. And as far as JT Miller goes, look, I think Trocheck's picking up the Kreider void, and I'm watching like how he, and we'll have to expand on this later, Liz, on another episode where, when Trocheck came in, he just kind of made himself the third person on the ice, when Kreider and Mika would do their hugs and everything. And now Trocheck's taken over the Kreider role as the unofficial captain. I think the really the moral support in the team cheerleader. When it goes to picking a captain, it's not up to us. I know what we want, and who we thought. I think we were in agreement that we would kind of have preferred Trocheck, but it's not us. I mean, they make the decision in the locker room, and it's the team that chooses. So for whatever reason, the team chose Miller, and I definitely don't feel like he's lived up to the expectations we want to see. Even as recently as post game this last episode, where I was disappointed in his response. I mean, he's just like, hey, we all get out there and do our best, and this team play a little bit better. I'm like, no, they played very well, and you did not. So
yeah, it doesn't also the captain does not have to be the best player on the ice. I'm a firm believer about that, but we're not seeing him step up in that sort of leadership voice, and that could be. Yeah, that could be maybe. I don't know if that's a coaching thing, because don't forget the Rangers also have a brand new coach. So I know there's a lot of moving parts this year. There's been a tremendous amount of change. There's obviously going to be growing pains that come along with that. But to watch this team perform so baffling, and truly it's like a baffling season when they have the best record on the road. I think at least they had it for a long time. I don't know if they currently still have it, but they're doing exceptionally well on the road and can't put together a win at MSG to save their lives. It's absolutely bizarre. So you have to kind of go, okay, what is happening here, and where is this coming from?
Yeah, and don't forget Trocheck was out for So again, it just adds to this mystery. I think you guys have seen it kind of with your with the dynamics of player. When one player's out and your team's losing, that I think when we started to win, when we won at home, we had Trocheck back, but we also brought up Gabe Perreault, and so I'm like, oh, the reinforcements have arrived, and it worked. Yeah. And it was short-lived. So, but it was something, right? And so. And that's where the hope, is good. We're still having troubles at home, and we were having trouble. We couldn't even forget when we couldn't score at home, So, and we've kind of generally talked about that because there's a whole weirdness in the NHL, in my opinion. There's a lot of weird injuries, a lot of big injuries. We were talking about this earlier, that are hitting teams. I haven't really, deep dived into it, but there's advantages to some of these teams in the schedules and who we're playing that can make a break. If we're playing a healthy team and we lose, and then their next game is playing a team that's got Boston, where we won, and we played well, but also they have a lot of injuries, so they're taking a big hit. And if some of these teams have a schedule where they're playing teams with with these injuries, or the goalies are out, we got 2 teams with 2 goalies out right now. It's the Canucks and the Ducks now, right? And one of the Ducks backup, AHL team goalies is injured too. So they're really limited on resources right now. So, so it's just a weird, dynamic for things. And kind of Liz it's baffling to watch and not understand why we can't be consistent in how we're playing. And wondering, is it the schedule? Is it the coach? Is it? It's always jury. So, I mean, you got to blame him for everything all the time, and we were also talking about this earlier too. It's we are seeing this rise or not rise, but really it's the kids that have been doing really a good job. These are the kids, you got Bedard, you got Mac, you got all these guys that are at the top of the list now. And we're seeing the Rangers kind of scrambling to kind of keep the young kids coming up, and kind of recycling them, to keep them fresh. And also they're limited as to how long they can keep them up there. But we're seeing, I think a little bit more, a little more ice time for some of our younger guys too, or our newer guys. And they're the ones doing the work. Kind of, again, to what Liz said, we're not seeing the big guys stepping up consistently. We can say we saw 2 really good goals the other day with Mika, but there has to be, it can't just be one every 4th, 5th game. There has to be some level of consistency.
And I think also with the injuries, one of the things we've talked about a lot this season has been the bizarre schedule. And I know the Blackhawks have a bizarre schedule kind of coming up with this road trip. There's a lot of games being crammed in before the Olympic break. And I think the Rangers had played more games than any other team in the NHL. So, they're stuffing these games back to back to back, and it has to be exhausting for these guys. So,
say that again. We pay a lot of money. What?
It doesn't. It's not an excuse. But all of the teams are dealing with this. I'm just taking a look at the Blackhawks schedule. This road trip is bananas that they're going to go on. Do you have 2 games against the Kings coming up back to back?
Yeah, but they're both in California, so it's
is that because of the Olympics? They're trying to.
No, it's because Gary Bettman loves us more than other teams.
No, he loves us.
I don't think I've ever seen that I went and I refreshed my screen twice to make sure it wasn't a glitch. How strange is that?
I haven't seen that very often, but you're right on with the schedule. Me and Hockey Princess talked about it a little bit. As far as the Blackhawks, 30% of their games were against teams on their second night of back-to-backs.
Yeah,
that's very advantageous for a team.
And say that again.
Seriously? Yep, that's where we go.
The tinfoil hat.
Yeah,
I'm looking at
notes right here that we talked about offline. I just think it's great.
And I mean, it's helpful for the Hawks to go out there and play back to back because that's one less travel to if you can cut out one trip all the way out west,
sure,
at a different time, I mean, it's perfect. That's a win. So it is rigged. No.
I mean, there's something too. The Rangers have, we're up like over 2 games, maybe 3 on some people, on some of the other teams too. So why is it that we're like, we have more games than anybody else right now, So, yeah, I mean, it is the schedule is more cramped up due to the Olympics schedule. However, with them adding more games next season, we're going to have to kind of, keep an eye on that. I mean, next year's going to be just maybe a little less, but still, we're going to see how they stretch it out and how it works out next year, because then that'll be what we're going to be seeing, right? With the extended games next year. So, they are talking that some of these games are what's causing the injuries on some of these people, especially with the goalies. I remember, like, there's just an extraordinary amount of goalies that are out, and and watching last night, at the end of the game, that their goalie went out. And so, and then they were talking about like, one of their AHL goalies is out too. So, I was looking at the injuries, I think there's like 7 goalies that are out now, but 2 teams have 2. And that's just like, if these guys, like, and they played Igor, and I keep telling Liz, I'm like, I don't know why I'm anxious, because we got Quick out, although he's day to day now, what I read today, which is good. And they keep calling up other people, but it puts a lot of pressure on Igor, and he's not even safe from the criticism of stuff, So,
sounds like they should call Chicago, because we have too many goaltenders. We have an abundance.
It's just getting more fun. Call them. Where's your farm team? Do you know?
Rockford.
Oh, so
it's like
easy call.
Like an hour or 2 just straight west. So really not bad whatsoever.
But you guys don't have a whole lot of injuries now, right? I mean, you guys are pretty fresh.
We're good right now. I think the main one right now that's out is Nick Foligno, out with broken hand, and then the enigma that is Laurent Brissot, who was signed and has never played in an actual game for the Blackhawks since he was signed. But he's now expected to go do like a conditioning stint down in Rockford. So we shall see.
That reminds me of Lundqvist, because when he was picked up by the Capitals and I cried, he never played a game, and I knew it. I'm like, see, his heart's just like mine. Never played, and then he came back. so I get that's crazy. You guys are doing, how do you feel you guys are doing this year so far, with it being the Bedard show? It's just Bedard. I mean, when you hear it. Yesterday I was watching the game. It's just Bedard. He got more minutes than anybody else. It seems like that's what he's getting. So, and he's holding his own. I see him like a lot like Jack Hughes. It's kind of steamrolling through it. And I want to say a pog huck, but if he gets up in the front and he's going to take the shots and stuff, that's what the young kids are doing, and it's working for them.
Yeah, I mean, the team's probably exceeded expectations a little bit, but, as I like to tell everybody now, that kid that everybody jumped off the couch about during the, draft reveal party, he's arrived. The training helped out this summer, and he's a complete player. So, and again, it's what you expect out of a number 1 pick to begin with. I mean,
right.
I guess we could segue that to your number 1 pick. I mean,
I was going to say not our number 1 pick. The Rangers have not been great on the development side, to say the least.
Which one?
Lafreniere. I mean, because when he came out, he was supposed to be one of the best, and it just never is completely clicked. It seems like. I mean, not that he's a bad player, but
the expectations aren't there. Maybe he needs to shave his head also, because I think that's the only thing that's getting the Rangers going these days. Because we had Panarin, who was having a terrible season, who shaved his head for the second time. He did that, I think, in the offseason a couple of years ago, and it seemed to help. I mean, I say that in jest, but I say that also because obviously we're not privy to what goes on behind the scenes, but to just watch what's happened to the Rangers and the younger players that they've just allowed to go nowhere is very frustrating. And you have to go, okay, is this a bigger issue than the coaching staff? And to me, it seems like it is. I think there's, a lot of blame being and fingers being pointed toward, the front office not being able to manage these guys effectively, but they keep making the decisions. So as fans, we have to bear the brunt of it. And it's really sad. It's just kind of sad to see it, because you don't want to watch these young guys waste like the best years, their best hockey playing years, and not have success from it. Lafreniere is not a bad player. Something's not clicking, and it's so hard to tell what that is, if it's confidence or coaching or what. Really hard.
It's funny how I don't know if you guys see it with your team or interviews with the teams are playing, but we're getting that a lot with the Rangers. It's like, well, we're building up confidence. So it's a big word in the interviews as to like when they're going to score or when we don't do. Oh, we just need to build up more confidence. And these are from the seasoned players, not from the young players or the new players. Are you guys hearing that too? Because like when I hear that, I'm like, I don't even know what level, like what they're looking for in that, because I think with us at least, and I've kind of said this for years. Let's go back 2 years to the playoffs, where we were doing so well. And then, the young guys at fourth line, they were doing so well, but you know what? They weren't given the opportunity to play more. They kept giving the ice time to the Kreider-Miko line. And it didn't work and wasn't enough. And we didn't go further. And we thought that, that they might see that last year, and we didn't see it at all. Mm-hmm. And now when they bring in Sullivan and they bring Quinn back too, because I think Quinn was around when they had the youngest team in the league and kind of started building that up. Because, again, that comes from like the Golden Knights, like when they kind of formed, they were young, they shot up to the top miraculously in their first season. And then everybody started to kind of follow this trend of kind of getting, and that was when we lost Henrik, they traded Zook, they just broke everything up and said, we're just going to go with these younger players. And kind of what you were saying with Bedard, it's like, okay, he trained, he developed, and now he's kind of where he's at, where we're going to see him produce. And I think that's what we've been missing is, or what everyone complains about is producing. Although every time someone talks bad about someone, they do better. So like she's talking bad about Keandre, like then he would do well.
Spinorama's Michigan goals, a sprawling save across the crease. Live and breathe all the highlight moments with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-977-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, pass-through of per-wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio limited time offer. Copyright NHL 2025, all rights reserved.
Yeah, and I think occasionally our team has been the whole just with the Hawks, they're just not expected much. So it's all about, our catchphrases are trust the process. We're needing to get, to different points. But yeah, I'd give a big eye roll to the, it's a confidence issue. I'm like, well, no, it's either you're playing well or you're not. Yeah. I understand having the juju where things might come a little easier, but from a fan standpoint, I never liked the, it's confidence, things aren't, it's just the breaks. We're doing everything right.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my beer is now up to $35. So it would be nice if you could have a little more confidence on the ice. Yes, thank you.
or buy me a beer.
Oh, good grief!
But then you look at like Kreider and Trouba. Like Kreider and Trouba got traded over to the Ducks, a year and a half ago, and they're having a great season. Trouba was almost being laughed off the ice the year that he was captain for the Rangers. Like he was struggling so much, and obviously under new leadership with a different mentality, he's killing it. He is having an absolutely great season. Not that he's like a super young player, he's not, but what is it about their style that's letting him succeed? Versus another player under a different system. I'm very curious about that. I don't know specifically what the systems look like in each, but it just seems like, I don't know, the Ducks they seem like they're having more fun these days.
And they're doing the same plays. Look, we're watching Kreider do the same plays that he was doing with the Rangers.
Totally, same playbook.
That's what we went when we were invited to the Ducks game a couple weeks ago. When we were sitting there and like, why is this fun? Why is it so well? They're smiling. We saw the wives. All the wives are bonded. I'm like, everyone's really happy, and and now they have a new. I don't know if you saw, like, they have a new like exit thing where they kind of walk off hand in hand. Or Kreider's got this new thing. And so it's we were kind of talking about that too, because I think with the Rangers and maybe with other teams too, which is interesting to see the comparisons, if there's any, is for me more it's consistency or lack of. Keep the lines. They keep wanting to mix stuff up, and as a result, again, we're not scoring. We just this game against Tampa, I don't know if you saw, but we had the lowest like shots on goal in 30 years or something crazy, so I don't even care if they score, just shoot. It was pathetic, actually. So you got to start with shooting and work your way up to scoring, but be consistent. So instead of trying to, and that's where I've always seen the success in, let's say, the Florida teams. I've watched them not do last minute trades in the season. They've kept the team together. They've kept consistency, and they've succeeded. In that. So it's like you kind of compare it to the teams that work, and we're not talking about them right now because I know they're at the bottom. But there's injuries and stuff. But yeah, you got to see why are the other teams working, and they're consistently, up in the top, and they have the same players. Then the players are doing the same moves, and they're making the same shots, and it's working every time, So
yeah, because for me that brings up another player, and that's K'Andre Miller, who's looked like he's fitting in pretty well in Carolina. Also,
I don't think so.
Well, we beat them, so that's okay. I don't care. That was one of our wins. We'll take it.
I was not a K'Andre Miller fan when he was on the Rangers, and I know he's been injured quite a bit this year, so I think he's just come back. Hey, good for him. If he's able to get breakout of whatever bad voodoo is happening on the Rangers right now, and he can find himself on another team and really start playing to the top of his ability, then good for him. Krusty, you said it very well. I think you were talking before about expectations, and the Rangers, you were saying the Blackhawks don't have those expectations, so it's easy to kind of surpass them. I think what happened with the Rangers going from President's Cup winners to not making the playoffs to a new coach and new captain and all of this in a market like New York in the centennial year, and I think it's your guys' centennial as well, there's so much pressure for these guys. So I imagine that part of what's happening right now is sort of a breakdown of that pressure, especially seeing what's happening when they can win on the road. Maybe there's less pressure there than being able to win at Madison Square Garden when there's so much, tension in the air. You can feel it.
I just from a distance, and that's got to be for the players. I'm not giving them cop-outs or excuses. That's got to be some constant crazy questions as far as the home record. I mean, just from the beginning with the no goals for a while to how you can play so well on the road. And
I know, what's the difference?
Has there been a response that you guys have been like, well, maybe that's it? Or do you think, it's just the pressure?
The only explanation that I have heard this year, I've heard one where I'm like, maybe this is plausible, is that because it's Madison Square Garden and the schedule is so crazy because of how many, different events that they're happening, they have to do a lot of their like warm-ups and their practices up in Westchester County, which is decently far. So some of these guys are commuting quite far in order to come in for the games. So that is kind of the only one where you're like, maybe there's some kind of like weird thing where they're psyching themselves up between warm up and game, or something's happening during that time period. Instead of, having an arena that's dedicated for you, you can come in early, you can skate, that's the only explanation that I've heard that maybe speaks to this, other than, just bad juju in the air.
Or the fact that they all have kids. So, and when they're home, they're with the family and the kids. When they're on the road, there's really nothing else to distract them, from, it's just eat, sleep, hockey, repeat, literally, And again, there's an Oilers TikTok or reel going around of like a day in the travel life, and it really depicts exactly, kind of what they go through, and it was exhausting just watching it. So I don't know how they do it, and you feel like at home it'd be easier, but but when they're at home, they're with their families. I'm sure there's things they got to do, and if they have a rare day off, and it's a little bit more taxing on their minds and their bodies too. So
for sure,
it just is what it is, right? So, it happens. It'll change. We're only 5 points out of first place.
Yep, it's early.
It's so early. This is like the backwards season. It's funny. You're talking Centennial. I was talking to my son about it. We haven't won one game in our Centennial jerseys, so it's not really good luck.
I purposely, I don't own a Centennial jersey, but I purposely picked like the Rangers third jersey. I can't say it. It's like the Rangers third jersey from years ago, because I'm like, I just need to change something up.
I'm just going with the PWHL, because when your team's when it sucks, you just turn it on and watch the women for a while, because they re-energize you and they're really
That's
good.
so much better to watch. Like I was watching Casey O'Brien earlier. I forgot who they were playing this weekend. My God, they're so much more fun.
They're so good. And we've already seen, it's only been a week. We've already seen a major ejection fines, and crazy things. So, I always recommend this to people. If your team's not playing, or they're playing crappy and you're done with them, like I do, I turn it off. I'm like, I'm done. And then Liz will start watching, or she's like, I'm done. And I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna to watch, or I'll listen. Now it's getting fun to be creative, to like listen, and kind of follow different radio. I love the radio is fun. I always like, John Tonelli's the radio color commentary, for Tampa Bay, and it's a comedy show. So, it's all different fun ways to watch it. I'm embracing it all, but when we're really stinking, I'm just like, I'm over it. I'll just turn it off. And then I got to keep up with it, because I got to talk about it.
Yeah.
So one of us has to be watching.
Somebody's suffering.
But PWHL,
I usually make Krusty suffer, because I'm the one that will watch more of the farm team games, and they're not doing hot either, but I'll at least watch that. And so I'm not having to watch both sides. Be bad.
Yeah, the opposite. The Wolfpack are doing really well, so like bring that whole, just trade them all, so I'd like to see that. But we're seeing some shifts, because we've got a couple players out, and there's movement back and forth to kind of keep the players fresh, and and we're hoping that when they're there's excitement when they come up, because I think they want to perform in show 2, and we have Berard coming up, and and I think he over tried things and ended up kind of costing us some penalties and doing things, and so we'll continue to see that rotation.
I hope they bring him up for the Blackhawks game because it'll just confuse the announcers. The rotating slate of announcers that the Rangers seem to have this year.
Oh, it won't. I mean, it will confuse them, but we get that from everybody. The amount of times like national broadcasters will call Connor Berard, and I'm like, my guy, read the sheet.
We have that
with the Kings guy, LaFerriere.
Yeah, I was listening to some. There were two old men. I don't even know what team it was. It was some Canadian. They were two old, and they kept calling LaFerriere, and I was like, who is this? I'm like, is this someone on their team? And then I realized it was an error, and that because they mispronounced Panarin's name or something, and I was dying. And then I think I posted it, and I love it because some dude was like, yeah, I think that's maybe how they pronounce it in French. I'm like, no, it was wrong. It was wrong. Like, come on. No. It's my favorite thing to do. It's just wrong. Own people. I'm like, no. It's pronounced Lafreniere and Laferriere, So yeah.
It is always the worst when it's like the national announcers, because you could tell they've read about one team but never the other one. So I always find them very biased. They're never Rangers fans. They're always a fan of like whatever other team they're playing.
Yeah, I love those names because Sam used to get confused about it, and then Liz always had to try to rhyme something with the names, to try to make an annual poem.
I do. I need to. Yeah.
So it's all good.
I just go the lazy route to nicknames.
Oh yeah, Krusty's
and
very,
that
very
way
big
I
on
don't
the
have to pronounce anybody, and I can just give them a nickname, and I'm done.
It's just their last name with an IE on the end.
No, he's got some. Krusty's been very big on the nicknames for a long time. He's got.
Yeah, I'm not like an actual hockey person nickname where everybody's E.
Oh yeah,
Johnny, and then no, I give them really weird ones. So
yeah.
So can we get specific? And then can you do some Rangers, because we need some good names.
Well, no, I've got nobody for the Rage, but we've got Mikheyev. Blackhawks, Eagle, Mikheyev, who I just call Mickey Mouse because it's just easier. So that's how I kind of do it.
You got.
All right, we're gonna start doing that.
That's how. I mean, Panarin became bread because the guys were like, Panarin sounds like Panera, so Panera bread.
But we called him Post. We've come up with nicknames, but on accident, because when I'm dictating in my phone, it does not come out that way. On the other side when I text her. So
some good ones.
I think I was talking about early in the season when we weren't scoring at home. Someone had texted me like on our Instagram page that everybody's playing like Martin Brodeur, and then when I texted her, it came out Broad Door. So that works too. They're all like giant doors, and we can't get through them. Just let Siri pick your nicknames because they're good at it. We're going to have to do that more though. We come up with the bromance names and everything too. And now Liz can't really look at our announcers with a straight face anymore.
I can't. Kenny Albert, man. Kenny Albert Kenny Albert's he replaced Sam Rosen as our main commentator, and he tends to stare intently at whoever he's co-hosting with, and it's changed a few times. There've been a few different people in that spot, but he'll stare intently at their mouths the whole time. So it is just like, you feel like you've walked into some intimate moment, like almost like, excuse me, sorry, like I didn't mean to be here, as they're like just doing the opening lineup. I'm like, okay, I need to leave now.
It was that, and Dave Filoni was co-hosting with him, but his lips were just a little glossy, and so the whole thing just went south.
It just went so far south.
So
how do you pull your heads out of the gutter?
Just amused when we're losing. So we have to get through it, like everyone being sad, and kind of getting through these interviews, and and watching the post game, like sad Mika, Yeah, no, we could do better. We just didn't get the shot that we wanted to. Yeah. So, so there's a few themes we can do, in future episodes, by just doing our own little interviews, our little post-game interviews ourselves, I think. But we'll see. I'm hoping for like a turnaround or a wake-up call or something. Everyone's kind of saying send the Rangers back on the road, just stay on the road, and see how we do, because we have a tendency, and I don't know if you guys have this too, but we definitely have a tendency to lose to lower seeded teams, and then people are like, how can you lose to the last place team and then you can beat the first place team? I always say, well, first of all the teams are good in their own way. You got to just kind of keep watching out, all the real minute details for each team to see really why Chicago. We talked about this, I think, when we were with you guys last year, and it's like, why is Chicago at the bottom? Like, they've got Bedard's still there and he's growing, and you got good players on the team. And the same thing with the Ducks. But now the Ducks, have a whole new dynamic, and we're seeing the difference that it can make.
And we just have a fantastic goaltender now. It just makes all of our problems go away.
See, and we have two, but it doesn't help us. I'm like, okay. Although, I will say, I'm getting frustrated because, I'm afraid that Igor's going to get hurt, but he's playing a lot like Quick does. Quick is his own style. I've been watching Quick for years, through the Kings, and now over in, and as older as he is, he'll drive you nuts. He comes out too far, he goes down too fast, but he can make the plays. And I think, when I'm watching some of these games now with Igor, I think he starts to do the same thing. And I'm like, no. And so I yell a lot at the TV.
Those guys could stand on their heads. And I mean, we have watched our goaltenders have amazing games that the Rangers still lose. And that is so heartbreaking for those goaltenders. It's really just sad to see, they'll let in one goal. I think a couple of times, I think Quick gave up one goal and they still lose. It's just exceptional.
Yeah. You know what I think we need? I think we need feisty Shesty, because when he starts windmilling people, things happen.
I mean, you know what? We had a good season after the Trouba helmet throw. So I think maybe we do need, maybe that's something that JT Miller should be doing a little bit more of, is where's that anger? Adam Fox just got hurt in the last game. He's on the injured list now. He'll miss a month or 10 games or whatever it is. Nobody did anything on the ice. You just took out our best defenseman. How do you not respond to that? Where is that passion? And you can't just have the coach yelling at people. There needs to be actual response on the ice. So I feel like that's where the Rangers are really lacking right now. But that comes from JT Miller, I think.
Yeah,
that's the Toronto energy.
Yeah, and that's the enforcer, kind of energy that we lost with Trouba, because Trouba would have done that, and and would have come back and stuff. I guess that's a weakness I see too. I've always kind of compared it East Coast, West Coast to I always felt like East Coast plays a little bit more strategically, and West Coast plays a little more defensively, more physical. And we do with some of the players, and we have the bigger players now. But yeah, to Liz's point too, you want to see more aggressive plays. We're seeing a lot of games where some people are getting taken out, because they're playing hard, and we also have a lot of these teams on the East Coast rush the net. Florida does it, Boston does it. There's where you just know it's coming, so it's you got to up that, that physicality of the game too, and check more. We have weak checks. So I'm I want to see big Trouba checks, and that's definitely missed, for that kind of thing. And that was a big talk along, on social media too, with that game after he got taken out, that there, we're seeing kind of that honor retaliation kind of thing that happens in other teams, to say, don't mess, with our player, or what you did was wrong. And we're not seeing that level too. I agree with that. Yeah. And I mean, we need to see, we need more Rempe activity. It doesn't have to be Rempe, but we need that, that level of energy, kind of back to the home ice, to kind of drum up that crowd.
Well, it sounds like, that pack mentality, protect the pack. And yeah, there's nothing more frustrating than we saw it it's been an improvement in the Blackhawks this year.
Yeah.
But the last 2 years, anytime anything was done, people just skate around, and that's not how a team comes together. That's for sure.
They're all skating by like dinner Friday.
Yeah. Not good.
I got you all. I know. Because wasn't there a video where like Kreider's behind the net when somebody's just speaking Russian? I didn't realize he was fluent in 5 languages, messing around with people and having fun. So that was cute too. Just do something, Thanksgiving was like the first milestone. I think the end of the year, which is coming really fast. It's usually that break, that you kind of have to be in a position. Everything's really close for everything, which again is crazy. And it's with the exception of Colorado, who is Matthew said it on our show, but I think it still holds true. They're the only team that's really playing good. So everybody else is either injured or not playing as expected or not playing well. And you have one team at the entire league that's actually just, playing well, and it shows, one regulation loss. They're on some crazy record. And they have the speed and the shot skill, that we saw from a couple of years ago, when they won. So they're fun to see. I'm glad I don't play them, that our team doesn't play them a lot, and we won't see them till the end.
It's kind of good for the Western Conference though, because you only have to really worry about like one team taking everybody else out. So everyone will be exhausted by the time you guys get to play them. It's not a bad thing for the West. And I was just looking at the stats. So in terms of points, the lowest team in the West has 20 points. It's the Predators. The Avalanche have 42. So you have a 22-point difference. The East is much closer. The lowest team has 24, and the highest, which is the Sabres, highest team is 34 points with the Lightning. So it's only 10 points. Everything is really close in the East. So as frustrating a season as it's been for the Rangers, I think it's been frustrating for everybody.
I know. Look, we won on Friday, and I'm like, and I think I did the post where I'm like, refresh to see like how many points we jumped up. And I'm like, oh, we're in a playoff spot. And then you sneeze and then we're back out, because somebody else wins. We're 2 games ahead. I'm like, so, but reality is, it just takes a few wins to kind of, level set everybody and kind of keep that, streak. I'd like to see us win, more than 2-3 games in a row and if we lose, at least lose close, at least put the effort in, to do that. I mean, again, Saturday we only barely got 10 shots.
And we were talking about the stat where like by Thanksgiving, 75% of the teams that are in a playoff position will stay in a playoff position. So for the Blackhawks, that's good, because I think you guys are wild card position at this point. So that's awesome. For the Rangers, we are not. And they interviewed Mike Sullivan, the coach, and they asked him about it. And it was funny because Christine and I have debated this stat about, being locked in by Thanksgiving. And they asked him, Mike Sullivan, about it. He's like, I don't believe that. He's like, that's not true. Of course he doesn't believe it.
I think it could be. I'm a statistician myself. I love the numbers, and I'm going to prop up data-driven hockey for doing some really good stats on a pretty almost daily basis, which I love to see. And the Thanksgiving kind of marks 25% of the season being done. So you really should kind of know where you're at, know how you're playing. The confidence should be there by this time, right?
Smiling more.
It's like, should we move you down to the HL and move somebody else up? If only it worked that way, would be nicer. So, but this year, again, an extraordinary amount of injuries, started off the season with, high profile players, from significant teams. I think that have cost them like their their status, and where they're at. And some of the other teams that have no injuries are kind of prevailing because of that. And it also shows you how much a team relies on these players. I mean, when Trocheck came back, I mean, that was the whole thing. It was like, are we, is it that they rely on Trocheck to do these things? And that's what they're waiting for. And so, and when you start seeing team winning, when McDavid comes back, or, when he was whatever, you're seeing who they're really relying on. And then, when someone else gets injured. Now with Fox out, people are already like, the season's over. We're done. We're doomed just because Fox is out. And he may not be out as long as we think. So fingers crossed on that. But, still, this is also between now and January, this is where we tend to get the bigger injuries, I think in the past. So it makes me a little bit more anxious because some of these guys are just playing hard and a little dirty. Saying the other day, I'm like, I feel that all these guys took a course on how to dive and get the refs to blame the Rangers, because I'm like, and you wait, what was that one? Wasn't there one on your yesterday?
There's been many. Last week there were like 3.
They're like the guys, who was skating got a penalty, and then they called it off. Like you never see them call back that penalty. I mean, you do sometimes. It's really rare, but that was like he's like, what? There was like 3 feet between me and him. I know I was watching that. And I thought it was funny. We don't get those breaks. You do. We do not. So we just watch it on. You see everybody watching on the big screen, going, "What the heck?" He hit himself in the face with a stick, and now we're getting the penalty. It's the story of our lives. So it's definitely a ref's game, and goes into more conspiracy theories that we might have. But you have to overcome all of that, and then you what game was it that they had the 3 callbacks? Was it your game? It was a Kings game. It was a Kings game, I think. Oh, yeah, it was a Kings game. They had 3 goals called back in the first 4 minutes of the game.
Wow.
Which is insane. It was like the fastest, and that was fun to watch too. So a lot of weirdness going on that we, it's hard for us to track everything, because it's not just us. And so again, when you get tired of all this stuff, just go to PWGL. It's more fun. They have more fun rules. I mean, they've got jail breaks. They, and they make it more exciting, without the stress. So you can watch those guys too. So I'm always pushing that, because it's fun and free, by the way, too. So you got to kind of enjoy that while we're pushing through the misery of our team. Because if you're not a Colorado fan, then you're going through hard times.
Yeah.
Welcome to misery. No one's
I'm
happy.
just glad that it's a little bit more exciting. I tell everybody it's less sad now. It's at least exciting. It may not be great, but it's exciting. It's less sad than like 2 years ago.
For you. Us, it's just
yes. No, Christy and I went on a road trip a couple of years ago. We did Edmonton and Calgary, and they did not score a goal the entire time. The entire time, I'm like, this is great. This is rock bottom.
Yeah.
Or when we were at the Ducks game at the end of the season with Sam doing his final tour, and we were actually talking to him, and he's like, if only they would score. And I'm like, I know, right? I'm like, somehow somebody get them to do something, So meanwhile, I guess the other thing is I'm especially really close to Anaheim. So so I think Liz and I are going to have to kind of hit up a couple more Ducks games, because it was enjoyable. They're fun. A lot of the teams, and this is kind of fun too, are kind of upping their fan experience too. So I don't know if you're seeing that with your team. No, well, then you guys got to step it up. So
we talk about it weekly.
So, because that's another thing, where commenting, the Golden Knights rule. They have the best, and it's like it's like a nightclub, now. Last time we had gone to the game, which was last year, during the intermissions, it was literally like a nightclub. It's like the bass is pumping, you can't hear shit, and your whole heart racing. And then they have, it's crazy there, and everyone seems to start, kind of upping their game. The LA Kings, they've now put in like a section, where they have a band or they bring in people, and they've upped their game. And the Ducks have upped their game too, even from the last time we saw them, which was earlier this year. They got ducks flying around. They have big things dropping down now. And we were just like, where is this all coming from? And both of them seem to copy part of the Rangers goal song. So a little bit of copycat action. And I definitely will call that out. So, but everyone's kind of, again, upping their game for the fan experience to kind of get that going. So it's making for a good rivalry and bringing more people in. But the Ducks are funny because like a lot of fans, I think they're getting better, but when we used to go see them, the fans weren't really up on their hockey, which is great. It's a different perspective. But when you act like you know it and you don't, it's just entertaining, So in a little educational, my kids used to, we used to go when they're kids, and they would be like, Mom, why are they yelling at stuff? I'm like, I don't know. And then my kids would educate them. When they shoot the puck and it's like 10 feet off, and everyone's like, oh my God, they almost got it. I'm like, no, it's not close. But they're getting better. and it's fun. Yeah, how's the fan experience with you guys at your arena?
It's fine.
They do a really good job. They've got two people that do,
Oh yeah,
it's the classic different games. They've got a pucko singing competitions.
Yeah.
And with having a bad ball club, that's the loudest the building gets is during breaks. So they've done a really good job with that, and then they've tried some other things that have been epic fails. So,
yeah, I will say John and Jenna, who do the in-game, they're the one good thing.
Yeah, they're good. And I mean, like you guys, they're building. They've got a lot of fluff with the Centennial. So, and their biggest selling point is their huge Jumbotron. I mean, that everybody wants to be on it. So it's a big part of the game. Everybody trying to do whatever to get on the screen. So
we'll have to make a trip.
Yeah. Have you ever been? I was on the Jumbotron pregame once, shoving a pretzel in my face. Like that's not the. I'm just like, and then I look up and I'm like, hey, I'm just like, what the heck? I'm like, it does not need to happen. So one time in all the years I had season tickets to the Kings, and I ended up shoving food in my face. So, and I know that other places do the comparison or the lookalikes. I think the Rangers at one point put a camera on somebody to see how long it would take for them to notice they were on camera during the intermission. So, those are fun experiences and stuff too that we kind of see. Again, the Ducks have made it like a show. I think there's just a lot of competition out here too for upping the show game.
Yeah.
For some of these games, and we're constantly kind of rating. We'll have to kind of make it out and explore some more. We're planning on going up to San Jose, and we kind of rate the drinks, the parking, and the nightlife, and the costs and stuff from different experiences. And we'll have to add in the fan experience too. When I was in St. Louis, they have a guy that every time they score, he throws out T-shirts. So.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So he whips around shirt and chucks it out, and so the camera goes right on him.
He runs down the stairs and then does his whole.
Yeah. So So again, I think too, when you're failing at something, you're going to start upping it, in other ways, and so that's kind of a gauge in seeing kind of where these teams fall and how they are. So. Kind of a backwards season. It's odd, it's wonky, and if you could predict right now, two teams that are gonna be besides Colorado that are going to surely sit there in a playoff position. Could you do it? I couldn't. Not on the east side.
Well, the East, I would guarantee that Carolina will make the playoffs.
Rod will make it happen by his sheer will.
I mean, you're right. After that, I mean, even Jersey, you're worried about them staying healthy and everything else. So,
not them going to a dinner party.
They can't even stand up. They keep falling. The statistics keep coming out. I just posted on our story. Like someone's counting how many times they fall on the ice, you know, and they're it's something like 451. We saw it because they played when we went to the Ducks games. They were playing the Devils, and they were falling a lot. I don't want that. Like at least they're not keeping those stats about us, you know? Right? Someone is somewhere, I'm sure. So we don't want that. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. So, you know, right now you can only say like, right, we're saying Colorado, we're saying North Carolina, or, you know, yeah, I don't think I can call really anything right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the only other one, if I had to, and because we talk about the big three in the Central all the time on our show, with being Colorado, Dallas, and Winnipeg, would be absolutely shocked if Dallas is out. Maybe not as high as, you know, people expected, but I don't think that they're going to fall completely out of playoff contention.
Yeah. And Winnipeg should make the playoffs and then just not progress from there, but they're used to that.
It's going to be Colorado's turn because they're going to be too hot at the beginning of this season. They're going to do
They're gonna start falling.
thing. Yeah. Wedgwood is going to become Hellebuck come April. They're just going to flip.
I mean, we're still rooting for them. I'm still rooting for them for last year. You know, like come on, yeah. You know, I think it's just a crazy upside down kind of season. But that's what it's all about. You know, everyone's got to get through their own personal, you know, emotional issues with their confidence and their injuries. We're going to talk a lot about confidence. I mean, we're going to be put that song in. Sure. Like, you know, if you make it a drinking game, let's do it. You know, every time someone says that they have to build confidence in the post interview, just drink.
Yes.
Let's drink. Let's see who gets drunk first.
I think we should play this.
From the safety of our own homes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Because it's not going to go far. So and again, it's been a lot of, you know, look, if you're watching the stats from or the news from all the other teams, someone's hitting a milestone. You know, there's also pressure as we quickly get through the season because we're blinking and we're almost through with this year, as this is now December. There's still the big talks of some of these high profile players with their contracts being up. And, you know, could that be hindering some of their, emotional effort, you know, that they're doing when it's all around? I know a lot of these guys just try to stay off of, different social media platforms but you just don't know how they're being hit with different things, and they've got their agents. They're probably still negotiating. Teams are probably trying to save, you know, if they want. There's so much going on behind the scenes too that adds to a lot of things we don't think about or know about.
Oh, for sure.
That's what I always say, even though I know we're paying a lot of money, and I agree with Liz on that part. You know, what I do say is, like, when I'm seeing people complain about it, you know, not everyone has a great day at work. You know, sometimes we're a little bit lazy. Sometimes things aren't going well. And sometimes we butt heads with our coworkers. I mean, just think about that in our daily life and what goes through. But, you know, we got to see them overcome it and get that consistency to succeed. And when we're not seeing that, that's where I get frustrated, you know. And with the Rangers, the word for me is consistency and, you know, lack of it. So if you hear me, guys, listen.
Be consistent. Gain confidence.
I don't know where it went, but you should have it by now. I think you should have gotten it somewhere in the AHL, you know, a long time ago. I mean, come on. You know, I mean, I can see confidence in your line and trusting your line mate, but I mean, these guys have, you know, there shouldn't be any surprises right now. So that's why I think the younger kids are better. They don't care. They're like, oh, I got the puck. I'm just going to go right up and shoot it. Yeah.
Hey, guys, I need to jump off in like 5.
You're good. Yeah.
So, okay. This was awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I will let Christine keep going and represent the conference for for double defense. Thank you guys.
No, of course.
That was quick.
No, she beat me to it. I was gonna wrap it up momentarily.
That's okay. That's okay. It happens. That's why there's two of us. So what are you hoping to see from your team before the, like what do you want for Christmas from the Blackhawks? What's your Christmas wish?
Good, Christy knows my Christmas wish.
List or wish? I
List.
do know your
There's a
wish
list.
too.
Sometimes there is a list.
I think there's a particular call up that I've been waiting to see for a couple of years from the farm team. And so if I can get that before the trade deadline, Kyle, if you're hearing this, I say this to the ether every week. Please give me a Sam Savoie call up for Christmas or just before the trade deadline. And there's more discipline I'd like to see out of the younger guys. We're gaining the confidence. We have the confidence. We're having fun. Let's have some discipline so we're not just going into the box for every little thing, even though I will wear my tin hat. And, there's some that we've gotten that we really
Hey, you got a break yesterday. I was stunned. I don't see that too much. Even though the replays are right above their heads, and it's obvious, they still won't they have a hard time admitting that they're wrong, with the refs. So,
and that was the second time in a week that's happened for us.
Yes.
It happened 2 games before that.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting
a phantom call. He skated over towards the box. They huddled and they said no.
Well, it really helped that he then called the ref a moron and then went away.
Hey, we've gotten a penalty for that too.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. We've lost games because of that, but it's okay. As long as Bedard's not the one calling you a moron, then you're fine.
I'd like to see 2 wins at home, for Christmas. Let's just we're going to go with small packages and then go from there, and hopefully we're not seeing, any more injuries, with significant players that are more reliable for us. I think that's what kind of gets us. And so, it'd be nice if somehow a miracle, occurs with winning 2 games that gets us into a playoff spot, and a wild card, we'll take it, and then see, how we can do, so, we've got a couple, you guys have a road schedule coming up. We've got a couple games that that are with tough teams that we have to, are kind of hot that we have to overcome. And we're going to see how we play. Again, we're hot one day, we're cold the next. So, I can't even call anything. You just got to keep your fingers crossed and make sure the liquor cabinet's locked up, because it's going to start drinking. So, and then just, or as I said, just turn it off and watch the women.
Exactly.
Always with them.
Krusty, final thought. What do you want for Christmas? What do you want for Christmas?
What do I want for Christmas?
Yeah.
I don't need anything team wise. They just continue to play like they are is fine by me. There's improvement. We went through 2 years of watching terrible hockey, and it's not terrible. So I'm gonna count my blessings.
Look, it's really fun to kind of watch some of the other teams, and we're doing that more and more because we're kind of, focusing not just on the Rangers, but really kind of trying to kind of keep tabs on, on other hot teams. It's actually fun to watch. It's fun to watch the Avalanche and how you watch them play their defense and their offense. I'm like, wow, like I can see the difference, and how they're organized and that, and how they're taking, good shots, plenty of shots, hard shots, fast shots. I mean, they're the team that they were a couple of years ago when they were fun to watch them. So it's good. So again, when you're frustrated with your team, if they're frustrated, you just watch another game. There's no stress. It's not, it's not your team. You're not going to care who wins or loses. So just enjoy it. And then when you see a bad penalty and it's not your team, it gives you a little bit of comfort that because as we talk too, it's funny because you're like, no, this happens to us all the time. I'm like, no, it happens to us all the time. Yeah, and then everyone else is saying the same thing, which is really funny. And I'm like, I don't think so. I'm like, I think we have the most back-to-back games. I'm like, no, we do. I'm like, look at them. So there's there's things where everyone's going through their miserable state, and and we'll all get through it just fine. But let's hope all our Christmas wishes come true. Yeah. Or we come close. I'll take it. We'll come close.
Hope everything comes true or comes close. Christine, thank you so much for coming on. It was very, very fun. It should be a very, very fun matchup.